Well, hello everyone. What a great day to be with you all as we go beyond compliance and dive in to learn how digitization has helped our feature speaker develop critical programs that have reduced errors and injuries while boosting employee enablement and cost savings. Now, before we dive in, there's a lot of you on this webinar that have joined us for the first time. So we want to let you know that Beyond Compliance is designed for process manufacturers to glean ideas into how to better manage plant performance, from quality and safety goals to boosting production efficiencies. And our speakers provide you with actionable and proven best practices that you can start using today to give you more visibility to overall plant health and drive improvements to help exceed your line, plant, and business goals. And in case you missed it, Beyond Compliance is brought to you by Safety Chain. We're the developers of a holistic digital plant management platform that we might hear a little bit about today that is trusted by thousands of process manufacturers to unite plant production and quality teams in order to maximize throughput and yield, ensure quality and compliance, and optimize labor and productivity. Now, of course, we have to get through some of these housekeeping items. We have muted all attendee mics, but at any point during the presentation, please submit your questions. We will leave time at the end for them. If you have not gotten your question answered by the end of our time, do not worry. We will get back to you. Our featured speaker today will be more than happy, I'm sure, to work with us to get those questions answered as well. So with that being said, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome Cindie Serrano from Lincoln Premium Poultry. Cindie has been working for manufacturing and food processing companies for many, many years, wearing all kinds of hats, sometimes literally, from production supervisor to continuous improvement manager, and now as a director of organizational development over at LPP. So Cindie, it is really great to have you with us to share your experience in how LPP was able to digitize plant management and, of course, what those results were. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Jim. Good morning to everybody. So transforming the workplace culture through digital plant management is what we're going to talk about today. A little bit about Lincoln Premium Poultry. We are owned by Costco, and we manage the Costco live poultry operation. We currently have about 1,200 employees. This includes employees that work at the plant, the hatchery, feed mill, and live operations, and then our corporate office is held here as well. We process about 2 million birds a week. We have a very award-winning culture here, not only safety culture, but just culture in general as well, with multiple awards you'll see there on the screen. We also just won 2 more safety awards to add to that.
Woo!
Yes,
Nice.
super excited. All this award winning couldn't be done if we didn't have the digitalized management system that we have now. So hopefully by the end of this webinar, you'll understand what all that is. So digitization at LPP, we originally started the use of Safety Chain in our QA department. And then as we got that up and going and live, we then started using it in the training and development department in various programs that we have here. Prior to that, we were doing those programs on paper. And now we use it across the plant, including our production team, our maintenance team, safety. We use it at the feed mill and the hatchery and our live sites, even out on the farms with the growers. So we use it pretty much everywhere now. Some of the types of data that we've been collecting are our QA checks, your animal welfare audits, of course, HACCP checks, calibrations for scales and thermometers, label verification, product grading, USDA audits. We have a secure profile for our on-site USDA, which is very handy. They log in and they can see all the records there at the touch of their fingertips, so we don't have to search for documentation and pass over the papers. Our training and development department uses it for our touch point and our job hardening program. Safety, we do safety observations and inspections. And our live sites do the safety checks, farm reports, antibiotic usage, animal welfare audits, and downtime reports. We also use it for maintenance. We do some downtime recording, some operator checks, startup task lists. We even do teardown task lists. Our operations team uses it for yield efficiency and machine effectiveness. Also, SOP reviews. They also record downtime as well. Sometimes you have the maintenance version of the downtime and then you have the operations version of the downtime, and that doesn't always match, so we collect it from both sides. We have microbial testing with our salmonella testing results in there. Financial, we have additional payments that we make to growers for various reasons. Feed mill and hatchery, we do all their safety checks in there currently. Our people are our most important asset. And, you know, with the workforce today, people are having a hard time getting people in the door and keeping them. However, here at LPP, we are not having that problem. And a lot of that is to do with our programs. So we have a touch point program and a job hardening program, along with a safety observation program. And these programs give people a voice. They give the employees a voice. They can say their issues, their concerns, and we're able to help find a resolution to those things. And in real time. So a little bit about those programs. So our Touchpoint program, originally we implemented it via paper and Excel. And we recorded all the results in there, and it just wasn't going anywhere. It's a program that asks the new hires in their first 90 days a variety of questions like their safety, departmental hierarchy, their general job knowledge, and personal matters and issues they're having at work. So we collect that data and it gets scored in safety chain. And then if there is a nonconformance, it sends out a notification to our HR and training teams, and then they can investigate into it and find a way to resolve the issue. Now, I will tell you, we have never had any corrective actions come out of the Touchpoint program. If there was anything that would be of concern, it would be a coaching or something of that nature. But when people start working in a new job, they're always really nervous and scared. And so our orientation team, which we have a great team here, I have to give a shout out to them. They are amazing, and they develop a really good relationship and rapport with the new employees when they start. So we take that relationship and we just don't send them out to the floor and have them do their job. No, we take that relationship and we build on it by introducing them to the production floor or whatever role they are playing here or performing here. And then we touch base with them, sometimes daily and sometimes weekly. And when we touch base with them, we put that information into safety chain so that we get those notifications coming out, and so we can review the data and drive changes in the right direction. So it really helps to build a good culture. So some of the example questions on that program is, do you feel safe in your job at LPP? Do you have the necessary tools and PPE to do your job? Do you know who your department manager is? And in the beginning, that was one that, believe it or not, we had a hard time getting all the employees to know who their managers were. They saw a blue hat and thought it was that person, but didn't necessarily know the person's name or had talked to them. So we started having the managers come to the orientation room and meet them and take them out to the floor, and that really seemed to help. Then we ask them, is there anything at work that you have an issue with, or anything outside of work that you have an issue with that we can help with? So here at LPP, we do a lot of different things in the community. Like we have various team members who are on boards and councils. And so we develop a lot of connections with resources in which we can help the employees. So that's why we ask that question. If there's any issues outside of work that they need help with, if we have an employee who needs diapers for their child and they don't have the finances to buy them at the moment, maybe times are tough, we have those connections to reach out to. So we do ask that question, and we try to help if we can. And then our results to date with our Touchpoint program, we had 537 people who have gone through the program and a pass rate of 98% in the last 3 months. In the beginning of this program, it wasn't a pass rate of 98%, but we have gotten now to where we're doing a real good job of minimizing the issues that the employees have. And our new hire turnover rate was 56% prior to our program. Introducing this program brought it down to a 26%. And that's just of the people who we touched base with. Okay, so every person that we talked to, out of those people, 26% turnover. Our company-wide turnover is 37%. Now, when we first started, our company-wide turnover was 66%. So the industry average in poultry is 104% right now, and LPP is running a turnover rate of 37%. A lot in part to these programs that we're telling you about today. So our job hardening program is the second part of that Touchpoint program. So like I said in orientation, we build that relationship with them. We take them out to the floor. We get them out there. Now what happens, right? So we do a program that is for those new hires that ramps them up. It gets them acclimated to their job tasks, the workload, and the work environment. So, in the industry, the meat industry, it's cold or it's hot. So they need that time to get acclimated to that. But not only that, the physical part of their role. So now we're at the point where we're ramping them up. We're having them do a smaller amount of work less often and gradually getting to more work more often. And the supervisors now become a role where they're checking in on the employees as well as the orientation team. So now the supervisor starts getting to know the employee by talking to them daily and checking in on them. Are you following the job hardening program? The supervisor's making sure they're following this program. They're ensuring that the employees have the tools they need to succeed and that they have their PPE readily available. They communicate back to the training and development team with any issues involving extra training that the employee needs, and then the training and development team will conduct that training with the employee. So this is an example on the screen of what the ramping up is for the employees. So when they're in orientation, we take them on the plant tours the first 2 days, and then we have the third day they kind of observe, and the fourth day they observe, and then the fifth day they actually start to do their job. They work with a partner on the line and they start learning how to do the job for 15 minutes at a time, and they only do 25% of the amount of work. And then they do that 45 minutes observing. So, and then every day it gradually starts working up to where by day 18, they're able to do the full job. So the team member that is helping teach them is also making sure that they're okay, but the supervisor checks on them daily. And that's where we transfer that relationship from the orientation team to the operations team. Okay, so this is an example of what the form looks like. We have the SOP, or actually the program written that's there in the related documents. So if a supervisor can't remember something, he or she can click on that link and read it right there at anywhere on the operations floor. Also, the schedule for their ramping up is there. They can click on that and see the schedule in case they don't remember, but also the way the form is built in Safety Chain by the number of day that the employee is on. So if they're on day 12, like the example shows, it'll show you that day 12 did employee pull 75% count while working 45 minutes and observe 15 minutes each hour. So it's right there, easy to keep track of what they're supposed to be doing. And then if you see there, it says, has employee rotated through all various job tasks? So we're covering the rotation aspect of it. And then why were there any concerns with this employee? So if there's any concerns with this employee, that's where they reach out to us to get extra training. So we help initiate that. And the results to date for that program, we had a 60% reduction in break-in pain reports month over month. So that's a huge reduction. The people that were not following the program made up 55% of the people that we still see getting the break-in pain reports. Sorry. So it shows you there that the program works. If they follow it, a mere 5% are showing break-in pain. So it really helps to show it works. The safety observation program, we do collaborative checks on safety with employees and supervisors. So our supervisors will do one of 3 different checks: environmental, PPE, and I can't remember the other one. Environmental, PPE, and one other one, where they actually do the checks with the supervisor. Through the hourly's eyes, we are able to see so many more issues or concerns. They're out there doing the job every day. You know, they're the ones seeing all the issues or feeling the pain or the stress. So they're the ones that give us the best feedback. So with doing these observations, we're able to monitor trends and management of safe versus unsafe behaviors. Sorry, that is the other one, the behavioral audit. So they do an observation on behaviors as well. They also check for the proper use of PPE, recognizing environmental hazards, and resolving the findings in real time. So all of these observations that are being done have a notification that sends straight to our safety team, and they are able to make the initiative start right away in real time to get these things fixed to prevent injuries. So all safety observations and issues are noted in the form, and of course it goes out via the alert in the notifications. And this has helped us to create an open communication with hourly team members and management. The hourly team members appreciate the fact that we give them the opportunity to voice things that they feel are unsafe. And, you know, solving hazards in real time is huge. You know, if you leave something by the time paperwork gets to somebody and gets initiated into a resolution, you're talking a lot of time frame in there where somebody could get hurt in that time frame. So one of the examples of one of our things we found on the observations is that the employee just said the aprons are too long, and she had been stepping on it and she almost fell. So she said, you know, can you help? Can we get shorter aprons? Well, absolutely. Something so simple, but could cost a lot in workers' comp. So other ways we use digital plant management. So we do all our SOPs are in Safety Chain. We also have a lot of our programs in there now and are working on putting in the rest of our programs there so they're easily accessible anywhere. So out on the farm, in our feed mill, in our hatchery, here in the processing plant. The downtime tracking, we're finding the reasons for downtime across the different machines. And startup and teardown checklists, we have gained so much in that effort to ensure that we start on time just by implementing those checklists. so they don't forget something that they need to do. Or if somebody's gone, the continuity part of it where somebody else can step in and follow through on the startup and tear down checklists. Our efficiency tracking, our supervisors report daily floor controls hourly, and it reports versus their goal for the day. So they're able to see where they're at in their production and hopefully make changes to make sure they hit their goal. Our bird quality, we record our bird quality in safety chain, and it gets reported back to our live team, and now actually reported back to the growers. So that has been a huge help. We have decreased our issues with bird quality, made huge strides in the right direction there. And then sanitation for pre-op checks. We're actually just getting started on this part. I can't wait to see the results. We have a few forms that are up and going now, but we are working on adding the rest, so that'll be exciting. So why does all this matter? Data gives our team members a voice. So one of our examples of how the data gave a team member a voice, we had a maintenance technician who just swore up and down, this machine needs this part. And there are 5 of these machines and they're all acting the same way. And this part was a cable, and the cable cost $100. Okay, so it wasn't like it was a huge expense, but with 5 machines, that was $500, still not a huge expense. But he said, I know that we could get better. It's taking off too much meat because it's not working right. And he explained it to me, and he felt confident coming up to me because I'm the one that has my team working on these touch point programs. So he knew if he had an issue, he could come to us, right? So he comes to me and he tells me, I need your help because we're losing a lot of money in yield. And our yield loss was 24%. So we were losing a lot in yield. So I went into the system, our digital plant management system, safety chain, and looked it up. And sure enough, we were running at that 24% yield loss. So I calculated up some numbers and found that it was $231,000 we were losing per month. Said, oh my. Okay. So I took that to our maintenance team and our operations team and said, look, this is what was told to me. I did some checking on the data, and sure enough, he is correct. So we created an incentive program. So if the team met their target of 8%, they got a little bonus. So now we're from 24% to 8%, right? Well, they didn't just stop it there. They actually have it down to 6%. So huge savings for the company. And they see that data daily on a dashboard in safety chain. Our downtime tracking. So we tracked downtime in safety chain with maintenance at first, and we saw a 38% reduction. So we tracked it across all the machines in the plant, and it gave us the ability to see the different downtime shifts or issues across the different shifts. So we actually had a dashboard built so the 2 different shifts could view the dashboard and see where they were at for the day. And then they could actually go in and look at what was down, but also they were able to print out a report for each shift to pass down to the next shift saying, this is what we did to fix it, this is what was wrong. So then that communication opened up a lot better with the use of the data. So they actually reduced the hours down from 800 hours annually to 500 hours annually, and that was just in the beginning. There's a long ways to go yet, but huge stride in the right direction there. So we also didn't stop there. We decided, you know what, we've got all this data, let's use it to better train new maintenance technicians. So we took the top 3 reasons of downtime for each machine, And we created a book. And this book tells them, it's got a picture of the machine, and it tells them, okay, if these are the top 3 issues. So if you're having an issue, check these 3 things first, right? We also went on further to build it out to say how to rebuild the machine. So a lot of good stuff can come out of doing the analytics on that data. Also, it gave team members a voice. Normally your operations team, they're the ones reporting downtime everywhere, and the maintenance team has to just kind of deal with it. They don't get a voice in the matter. Well, doing it this way, where maintenance was putting it in, they had a voice. So they could say, no, this is what actually happened. And I can't tell you the amount of people who were excited and thrilled to be able to give their voice. So implementation on that was super easy just because they realized they were going to have a voice. So everyone on our team has a voice. An emphasis on data collection and transparency is seen and felt across the entire organization, from the COO to the production floor. Turnover reduction, we're industry leading low turnover. We're addressing safety issues in real time, improved throughput, yield, and production. Culture is important, changing the norm and creating a culture of support and woo and loyalty. Our program shows team members that we value their opinion, feedback, and input. And this day and age, this this really, really smart team member of mine, who I enjoy so much, told me one time that, we're fighting the generational cycles. We really need to come up into the times now, because it's not the same as it used to be. Nowadays, people are looking for that recognition, the attaboy or the good job. It's the woo. So this program is a great way to bring us into the generational cycle that we're at now. We provide the woo for the team member, and we get that loyalty, and we get that employee that wants to come into work and do the best they can. It's just a great culture. I hope that this helps everybody to see that we can do these things with really not a whole lot of extra work. What's next for LPP's digitization? So we are currently working on the live side in the farms. We just finished the breeders, and now we're doing the broilers. We just finished the broilers, and now we're doing the breeder and pullet farm audits and SOPs. Our feed mill, we're going to implement their quality checks and feed formula checks. Our hatchery will implement their QA checks, animal welfare, and egg deliveries. We actually finished the tracking health impairment of incoming birds, where we're doing the antibiotics and biosecurity checks. We just finished that one. And then also dashboarding and analytics, automatic reporting, and more real-time TV screens. And that's all I have for you today.
Wow, that's awesome, Cindy. So many great stories packed in here. Um, yeah, I
Mhm.
wanna I wanna thank you again for coming on and sharing kind of your evolution of how you grew into some digitization projects and obviously what the results are. And I really do appreciate the kind of, person on the line point of view. And I agree that
Mhm.
enabling everybody to have a voice and enabling that visibility is really why LPP is seeing so much success. So I wanted to start at the beginning a little bit. You had mentioned that a lot of your processes prior to digitizing some of the things that we heard about today were paper-based, and it was maybe
Yes.
tough for you to get some of that visibility, and obviously not really enabling so much of the voice down on the plant floor. So
Mhm.
can you help me understand what was the catalyst, the decision to say, you know what, we've been doing it this way for so long, it's time to move on and get a little smarter around how we're utilizing our data. And I know you brought up that one comment that the person that you were just referring to said, hey, we have to go into the modern times, but what really was the catalyst that brought the digitization to life at LPP?
Well, I think a lot of it was that we knew we needed to make it more visible, right? We needed to get all the management team on board with what we were trying to do. Also, when you're doing things on paper and putting in Excel, there's a lot of issues with errors and things like that. So when I actually was in continuous improvement prior to the move to training and development. So when I moved to the training and development team, the manager at the time had said, we need to find a way to make this more visible. And I said, well, why don't we just put it in safety chain? So that's where we started going at that. And not only did it make it more visible, but we didn't have somebody spending half their time doing data
Right.
entry.
Yeah.
And, when you come to meetings to talk to, the COO or executive management, you need to show something a little better than an Excel spreadsheet sometimes.
Hmm.
And, to get the support behind the program, you have to show some results. And that's where it was really hard to do it in Excel. Um, so, the fact of getting the results, needing to make it visual, there was no other way to do it other than a digital plant management system.
Right. Now, did these three programs, the Touchpoint, Job Hardening, and Safety Observation programs, did they come as a result of the digitization initiatives, or was this sort of on your roadmap? You wanted to do it, but you felt you were not able to do it because of maybe some legacy processes or paper-based processes?
So we started with the Touchpoint program first, and once that got up and going, we realized that we had a deficiency in the break-in pane.
Hmm.
And I had been contemplating how are we going to do this for quite a while prior to the actual start of the program. But we saw that that was an issue. And that was the first and foremost thing, that it's an issue. How do we fix it? Well, again, we don't want to go back to Excel and we don't want to go back to paper. So let's go somewhere where we can put it in a system where we can see live data. And then after that, we noticed that, okay, now we've got the break-in panes start, all the issues we're trying to fix there are going well. So let's get the safety observations, which were previously on paper, and now we're on in the digital plant management system. Let's get it all together because we can do a variety of different data analytics on that. So that's kind of the way we went through it.
Yeah, and just curious, the percentage you said 37 percentage organizational wide in
Hmm.
terms of reduction in turnover when the industry on average is over 100%.
Yep.
That's phenomenal. Does that 37% include folks that did not go through the Touchpoint program?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm just generally curious, like some of the questions that are part of the survey, is there kind of a theme? And if this is not information you can share, that's totally fine. But like, for example, what tools do you have the tools to do your job? Is that like one of the more common things that people say, no, actually I don't. I need
You
X.
know, once in a while, so we do have the shadow boards out there, for
Hmm.
all the supplies get hung in the correct spot, for lean. And once in a while, they'll have one go missing. So that's more of like, if
Right.
they don't have the tool they need to succeed, oh, hey, something was wrong. Something wasn't hung up where it was supposed to be. Let's investigate into what happened.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
makes
kind of
sense.
why, yeah. And also, like, a lot of the times you'll get, oh, we don't have enough carts because one area decided to steal all the carts, you know.
Right.
So yeah, yeah. So we
Okay.
actually haven't had anybody report on that in a long time. So I think doing this system really has helped to where we don't see it anymore. We
Right.
also had a complaint all the time about boots. The boots were just horrible. They were hurting left and right, and we investigated into it and found that we could see why they were hurting. There was a big old bump in the arch area all the way across the foot.
Hmm.
So we were able to change boots and change our boot program, and we've had nothing but success now with that. So. Hmm.
Incredible. And as you said earlier in one of your examples, it's not a great expense to the company to do simple changes like that, but it makes a huge
Yeah.
impact in morale and obviously safety. So
Hmm.
it's totally
Yeah.
worth it. So I got to ask
Yep.
the question actually this coming from one of our attendees here. With, with regard to such a, I don't want to call it drastic, but it is a significant change going from legacy process or paper-based process to something more digitized. You
Hmm.
have a lot of folks that have been there a while, even maybe management, people inherently are resistant to change sometimes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how did you get everybody to sort of align around this idea and then obviously get adoption to scale?
So the best thing I can tell you that helped us the most is not only the voice factor, people are getting a voice, right?
Hmm.
But also if you actually watch how they do the things they do first, so you have an idea of how to set up the form to where it works better for them, easier for them, then they're more likely to get on board. And that's what I did. When we started with QA, I actually went down to the QA office and walked through with each QA on how do you do your check.
Hmm.
And then I set up the form to react accordingly with the way they do their checks. So if they check three things on a line at one time and then go to the next line, that's how I'm going to set it up with the first line that they check and then the second line that they check. So just getting them involved with that form development part of it
Right.
was huge because now they feel like they're part of the project. They're part of getting this setup going. And I think that is the most important. If you don't have their buy-in, it's a struggle, and I understand that completely. So I've learned a lot along the way, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
that was the best thing. Once you show them that form setup, that you can arrange it to where it's easier for them, and then if you actually show them a dashboard, show them the results that are coming out of what they're doing. So we actually integrated safety chain with our TV screens to where we show our TV screens up there with the dashboard
Right.
that
Right.
shows what's going on. So when you take them up and you show them, look, everything you're doing is coming across here and it's right here next to the COO. He walks by, he sees it, he asks questions.
The
That's their
visibility,
way
yeah.
of getting their voice out there, right? A QA check fails, it's seen up there in red. So those types of things, showing them where the data is going and what's happening with the data is huge. They feel
Right.
like they're such a part of something so much bigger.
Yeah, and then in the case of that maintenance manager where, $230,000 now is saved each month because of
Yeah.
one
Yep.
person's recommendation.
Mhm.
It is
Yep.
huge, huge.
And
It
with
all adds up if everybody is able to contribute because everybody
yeah.
can see it. They're closest to the line. They're closest to
Mhm.
seeing how things operate. Yeah, it
And if
makes
you
sense.
figure the ROI on that, a
Hmm.
$500 cost versus 231,000 a month.
Right,
Huge ROI.
right.
Yep.
Exactly. Kind of on the same thread, so there also is a theme of making sure that the supervisors are actively working with, the line workers and others
Mhm.
to make sure that they are A, seen, B, heard, and,
Yep.
clearing up any confusions or questions. So
Right.
how was that change for the supervisors? Because let's just face it, they're super busy people, and
Yes.
now they have to make this extra effort. So how were you able to, sort of get everybody on board around updating their schedule and giving the time to work on these programs?
So the first thing was making it super simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Make it super simple. It's literally four questions, really easy. Another thing was getting the support from executive management, showing them that this is the issue we're facing. This is what we want to implement to fix that issue. We need
Mm,
your support with those supervisors on the floor. Some of them, yeah, they're excited to do it and they get on it right away. And then there's others that they just struggle finding the time. But if you get their management to be supportive of the program, their management makes sure that they have the time to do it. If
yeah,
that means they go cover or something, it also does a good team effort there, you know?
Right,
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and it goes back to that comment that you said earlier. People do like getting recognized,
Oh,
and
they
you know,
do.
having that supervisor be sort of active on a regular basis, that helps with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
One question just came in here from Caitlin, who's asking about how employees are actually accessing the safety chain forms. I'll let you answer that.
Hmm.
She's curious, what types of tools do they use on the line,
Okay.
and how are you accommodating for feedback in multiple languages? And I know you have a good story there as well.
Yes, yes. So we have our forms in both English and then in the hint, we put it in Spanish.
Hmm.
So we have it available for both languages there. And then we have PDAs out on the floor for pretty much all our management and QA. And then we use tablets for everyone else. So anybody that needs it either has a tablet or they have a PDA, which is just a
Right,
Samsung phone.
right,
So yeah, and they find that the Samsung phones are better because they're able to carry it in their pocket rather
right,
than having to carry a tablet. So,
right. Yep.
yep.
Yeah, we're obviously talking about safety chain. It doesn't matter what device you have, you know, if
Hmm.
it's Apple, you know,
Yep.
Microsoft, even it doesn't matter. Just
Yes, and that was
whatever suits your needs, and we got the data for you.
yeah, that was a huge concern when I started implementing on the live side because we have a couple of management people who are Apple support users. Like they love Apple, and if it
Yeah,
doesn't work on Apple, I'm not going to use it. And I said,
right.
guess what? It works on Apple. So they were super excited and no issues at all reported. So that was super good.
Yep, yep.
Hmm.
And then just curious, you had brought up something. I think it was around when we were talking about the safety observation. No, it was after that where you said you're looking at bird quality and that
Hmm.
information goes back to the grower. So
Yep.
this is like supplier management kind of stuff. So
Yes.
what exactly are they seeing, or how are you relaying that information, and what types of improvements have you seen? I think you
So we
touched on
have,
it a little bit. I'm just curious
yep.
to learn a little more.
Yep, we have two different things that we have going on. So on the live side, we just implemented the audits that the techs are doing out at the farms. Our broiler techs are auditing the facilities, and they're providing information by simply doing the share record with the grower. So they
Okay,
share the record, and the grower has that link to access that report basically for 14 days right now.
okay,
Um, and then on the operations side, we're actually using forms and safety chain where they record the different defects on the bird. And then that actually is integrated into our SSRS and it gets sent out to the growers monthly after we settle the flock.
right.
So,
Okay.
mhm,
All right. Yeah, it was cool how you said at the top here that even the USDA can log in and get all the docs
yep,
themselves. So it's kind of similar maybe to the growers. They get to see sort of the quality checks and that sort of
yes,
thing. Yeah,
yes.
very cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
it saves a lot of time from having to hunt down forms and pull out paper copies and
oh, sure,
yeah.
absolutely.
It did
Uh,
also eliminate a lot of, generally in the quality industry, you have issues with people just scribbling out things and you can't scribble them out with USDA. You have to put a line and initial. Safety Chain eliminated a lot of that issue with the data collection being in a system. So,
hmm.
hmm,
One other point, though, that you made was that SOPs are accessible on the floor. And
yes.
this goes back to what we were just talking about, where you had gone up to stations on the line and kind of saw how people were you know, looking at information, or going through their processes and then aligning the forms within safety chain to those
Hmm.
processes.
Yep.
Um, I wanted to ask a question, but we kind of went off in a different direction.
Hmm.
Are those initial processes based on the SOP, or were you kind of looking at how the individual worker at that station is doing it and then tailoring it to their individual process?
So we're standardizing. So we write the SOP to the standard process.
Yes.
And then when we were doing the form part in Safety Chain, I actually created the forms off of their paper copies, but then walked
Gotcha.
through,
Okay.
okay, how do you actually do this when you're performing the check? So, yeah.
All
And
right.
I met with multiple, so it wasn't just one person saying, this is how I do it. No, I met with multiple, and then we came up with, okay, here's how the SOP says it. This is how they're doing it. This is what we do.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you are hiring new line workers, is this part of the sort of explanation to what they might expect should they get hired? You'll be
Uh,
expected to use tablets and enter information.
so we have certain jobs that do use the tablets and in the phones or the PDAs, and those jobs, yes, it would be explained that this is kind of what you would do.
Yeah.
You would collect the information and put it in the system. Yep.
All right. Yeah. Again, amazing story around turnover, and I mean, even the downtime tracking, 38% reduction. It's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. It's incredible. And obviously,
Yep.
you're still going. You've got a lot of
Yes.
projects that you have in the hopper
Yes.
there, so it's really
Yes.
great to see. I don't see any other questions coming in here, so I think we're going to move on to the next screen, which is
Okay.
there's more of the story to come. As I said at the top of the call, everybody will get this recording. You're going to see that in your inbox later today. Um, we know there are some Safety Chain customers here, but if you're not a customer yet and you are curious about some of the forms or some of the things that Cindie was talking about, you can get a demo. We also are hosting a demo day as well. You can check that out. So Cindie, I just want to thank you. I want to thank everybody at LPP. To me, you're all superheroes if you're listening. We love your story. We love what you're doing. Just keep going. We can't tell you enough how incredible you all are and how you're using the information to the greatest goals that you have. So
Thank,
thanks
thank
everybody.
you, Jim.
I'm gonna call it for now and have a great weekend and take care.